I was recently asked by a client who also participates in my program 3-Week Intense. She's participated in a few, and she works with me one-on-one. And she is in her early to mid 30s. I believe she is 34. And like many, struggles with the temptations of life and following the plan. Again, whatever plan we have for ourselves. She has a desire to be a healthy eater. She wants to be a good example for her 2 daughters, and it's a struggle. She is in a season of life where she's very busy. She works, she's got 2 young children, and she endures stressors like we all do. You know, she's just kind of done with the whole yo-yo cycle. On again, off again, on again, off again, giving in to the temptations of stress. So plugging along, doing well, exercising, following the eating plan that serves her, and then, stress takes over, life takes over, and the temptations become more tempting, and she caves in, and many of us do. It's a hard that you constantly grapple with. I get it. I encounter the same stressors and struggles and trials and tests and tribulations. And, it's not easy. Choosing our heart is definitely not easy. While coaching is about the client, not about me, sometimes when I work with a client, there's a lot of really just picking my brain and the client prompting me with questions that hopefully I can share my story and that can help them. And that's hard as a coach. And that's the difficulty with being a coach who is on a public platform where you know about me. You know about my history of doing things. You've had many years under your belt watching me. So you may crave more of me or how I do things. And while that's flattering, of course, I always make an effort to share with my clients that I'm really no different than they are, and to not hold me or anyone else to a pedestal, because it's always important that we can't really see what is going on for other people. So I reminded her of that because she does ask a lot of questions about how I did things, mainly how I took care of myself when raising small children, 5 to be exact. And I've had to share with her, one piece of advice I have to give is to not hold me or anyone else to a pedestal, because I believe when we do that, we are more inclined to see ourselves as a failure because we see only surface level of what others do, and we believe they're getting the job done and we're over here failing. So that's been a big topic. But she asked me in our recent coaching session what I would tell my 30-year-old self. And I think I do recall videos floating around where content creators would share what they would tell their 30-year-old self or 20-year-old self. And I've never really given that question a lot of thought, because in some ways I feel like it would be counterproductive, as I'm not that age, so what use would it be? However, I look at it from the angle of what would I tell someone who is in their 30s based on my experience of just living and having a good 20 years below my belt ahead of you, right? 20 more years below my belt. And so the experience. Well, I'll share this. If I had to say something to my 30-something self, and it had to do with the diet, the exercise, the managing and maintaining, I would actually say thank you. Thank you, 30-year-old self, for taking the time to care for you, taking the time to manage you, taking the time for self-care, for exercise, for health, because it's shown up. It's shown up. I'm now approaching 54, and the choices that I made in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s are a product of what I am today. So there's no question that when you see women in their 50s, women in their 60s, women in their 70s, and men as well, you can't deny or hide those that took care of themselves. It will show. Do I believe it shows in your 20s and 30s? Not really. And I would even say in your early 40s, you can still get away with looking pretty preserved, if that's the best word, even if you didn't take care of yourself. If you didn't take care of yourself in a healthy way, it won't show up, I believe, for most people in their 20s, 30s, and early 40s. But something changes, as many of you who are watching me know. It will eventually show up, and I would say by the time you get to your late 40s, maybe, 50s for sure, and so on, it will show. And those that took care of themselves, it's obvious. In those whom didn't, it's obvious. And while there's many things at our fingertips to help mitigate some of those choices, we have a lot of things at our fingertips. They can be costly and time-consuming things. At the end of the day, they're only going to do so much. So we can't really deny how we took care of ourselves if we were a good steward of our body. If we were a good steward of our health, it will show. So that is something I would say to a 30-year-old. If I'm speaking to me, I'm going to thank myself for stewarding my health, my wellness, my body, and many other areas that I steward in my 20s and 30s, and as a result, it shows. But if I had to speak to someone in their 20s, 30s, I would share with them, be a good steward. But it doesn't end there, and I'll share what I mean by this. I do work with many women in my season of life in their 50s, 60s. I even have a couple of clients in their 70s. And I see a little bit of a contrast. I think I just realized that this is not buttoned, but this one is. We'll fix that. No worries. I also have disheveled hair today. Clean, dry hair. I just didn't style it. I didn't feel like styling it. So washed yesterday, air dried yesterday, woke up. This is what it looks like. Not a workout today. Just didn't feel like doing it. Maybe tomorrow. But I see a contrast with my clients that are my age or older, regardless if they took care of themselves, regardless if they were a good steward of their body, of their health. Some of my clients, although they may have not taken good care of themselves in their early years, they're in a good place. They are really in a good place in their life. Now, you may think, well, why are they working with a coach? I get that. But I believe no matter where we're at, we can all benefit from working with someone in a helping modality. I'm in a good place, although I'm also in some troubling places. And I'm working with a therapist. I've worked with coaches in the past. It's been many years. I haven't worked with a therapist since I was probably a teen, and that was pushed by my parents. But I've just chosen this modality just to get some more answers about certain things with myself. So I think we can all benefit. And at the end of the day, I'm also in a good place. I talk about that contrast all the time. But I have clients who while have taken very good care of themselves all throughout their life, like me, they look incredible. They have no reason to have all the chatter in their head and all the insecurities. They struggle with just the fact of getting older, and they're still envisioning that younger version of themselves. So they took good care of themselves, but unlike how I feel about me, yes, aging is going to come, but I don't feel any less confident or certain about my appearance than I did when I was younger. In fact, I would be willing to believe I have more confidence today in my appearance than I did when I was younger. And do I think a lot of that is my spiritual walk, my stewarding that part of my life? I would say so. And I can say the clients that I have that aren't really in a good place with the aging process and are really struggling with their appearance, I can see some disconnect there where they've placed too much emphasis on that area and they've really made that their identity. And that's really what I want to capitalize on, is if I were speaking to an audience of 20-something, 30-something women, my message to them would be, don't just place emphasis on stewarding your body, stewarding your health. There's so many areas that we do need to dig our heels in and live a purposeful and intentional life, because I always say there's some big areas in life that will show up later on, and one is your health, another one is your finances, another biggie is your relationships. So what's being neglected will show up in those big areas. And I have an old video, I believe I talk about the 6 life mistakes, big areas of life that you don't want to make a mistake in. And because they'll show up, the compound effect of poor choices will show up, will show up. And the compound effect of serving choices, stewarding those areas, your relationships, your finances, your health and wellness will show up. But if you are attaching your identity in your 20s and 30s to this beautiful shell that you're in, this beautiful body or these beautiful looks, don't be surprised if later on, when you are in your 50s, in your 60s, in your 70s, that you struggle. And I see a lot of insecurities in women who placed too much value in that area. And what happens is they once were comfortable in their skin, but I question that. And in coaching, I often find out that they really weren't even comfortable in their skin in their 20s and 30s. But they certainly are not comfortable in their skin in their 50s and 60s and beyond. They struggle so much with seeing the signs of aging versus seeing them as just marks of the life you've lived, chapters in the book of living, right? The beautiful etchings of that, right? Instead of looking at the beauty in it, because they attach their identity so much to their appearance. So I shared this in a much more condensed way with that client, and it just really got me thinking. And I went into filming this morning, not even really knowing what I was going to film, but I was thinking about her, and a lot of it is because she emailed me last night, but about something else. But I was thinking about her and how this is just such a big layer to living. So I want to give you this takeaway. If you're in your 20s and 30s, it's okay to enjoy this season of life where things just really look good and you're looking amazing and you get attention for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't place so much value in your appearance to where it's your identity because that will leave you feeling extremely lost and dissatisfied with your life later on. And would I like to say become spiritually grounded in truth? Because if you do become spiritually grounded in truth, you will mitigate a lot of what you feel, a lot of the insecurities you feel. Your identity is not even rooted in you. It's rooted in Him. And once you see that, wow, what a powerful shift that can be. So I feel cultivate that relationship. Steward that part of your life as early on as you can, because that will show up later on in life just like all the other big areas show up. The compound effect to what we cultivated, what we steward in our younger years will show up. And I say all the time, are you speaking truth over your thoughts? You must challenge your thoughts. Whatever you focus on expands. And that is not always grounded in truth. So you need to think about your thoughts and you need to challenge them. What messages do you carry today still, walking this earthly life, that come from your past? Maybe something that was spoken over you as a child. And not necessarily to harm you. Often the words that were spoken over us as a child that became wounds that we forever have to overcome weren't spoken over us intentionally. The parenting styles of that generation often came from a different lens than we do today. Not as much loving and kindness. I'm going to make you tough and thick-skinned. Well, we know most of us didn't turn out all too tough and thick-skinned, right? And when I say that, I'm not talking about the skin on our body. I'm talking about the muscle in here, right? It's hard sometimes to overcome the lies that were spoken over us, but that is not your truth. That is not your identity. So place your value on areas of your life that will speak words of truth to you all throughout your life, and especially later on in life, because that will ground you, that will center you, and you will find that aging and getting older takes on a whole new landscape, and it does show. So yes, there's many women and men who look great in their later years. They clearly cultivated their health and wellness when they were younger. But if they are not mentally grounded and rooted in truth in their thoughts, it will show. It will show. And that just is the mask covering up on the war and the trauma that's going on inside. Place more value on what's going on up here than anything else. Don't compromise your health and wellness, your exercise, your healthy eating, getting the proper sleep in, managing stress, all the things to reward you later in life for that. But you're not going to be able to stop the fact that we're getting older. We're getting closer to our demise, but your demise does not have to be your prophecy. Your predisposition is not your prophecy. Your pain is not your prophecy. So get grounded and rooted in truth as early as you can, and that will show up later in life. And how you feel about yourself will play the biggest impact on your later years. Not only for your relationship with yourself, but your relationship with other people, and certainly your relationship with the Holy Spirit. Now, I will share with you 3-week intense starts today for Q2. Registration ended yesterday. And there's a common theme with 3-week intense. I believe this is the 12th round of 3-week intense, and it never fails. It never fails. The first couple of days in, Haley and I will get emails with people saying, I'm so sorry I missed it. I don't know how I did, which we sometimes have to admit we do kind of chuckle at, because we're like, we've been talking about this on all my platforms. But it's a common theme, and I'll be honest, we typically just let you in, but you got to get caught up, because 3-week intense has a whole packet that I cover the commitments, and there's a whole video library. But if you missed getting registered for 3-week intense for quarter 2, today I am offering you a late join, a late registration. So we've already started. So when you watch this video, 3-week intense is on day 1. If you're watching this video a little bit later in the week, we started Monday, April 21st. So if you want to join in, I'm running a late registration that expires at noon Eastern Time this coming Wednesday, the 23rd. There will be a link in the description box below to get registered. Now, again, you're going to be a couple days behind us, but I'd get registered ASAP. Everything will be sent to you through an email. There will be a link to get to the exclusive web page that will take you to all of the printable downloads, your whole packet with the commitments, your habit tracker, your weight calendar, your exercise routine, diet plan, all that you need to make this a success. You'll need to get your note cards ready, because you'll be doing those. Prepare for your daily journal prompts. And there's a thought exercise, because that's one of the most powerful tools. Is everything else that we do above and beyond the exercise and diet. It's what's going on up here. That will all be yours. So just know you're a couple days behind, but that's okay. Play catch up and get on the Facebook community page. Let us know you're there and that you're coming in a little late. We'll welcome you. We'll welcome you with open arms. We'll get you caught up to speed. You can read all the posts that came in the last couple of days before you joined, or like I said, we're just starting today. So hopefully you're getting this early Monday morning and you can jump on the bandwagon. But there is a late registration. Again, that will close this Wednesday, April 23rd at noon Eastern Time. And then from there will be a quarter 3. So you can always join quarter 3, and I will definitely keep you posted when those dates are published and registration opens. If you like what I shared today, if this is what speaks to you, before considering registering, be prepared that what I shared with you today is more of what you're going to get in 3-week intense than exercise and diet. So if you're looking for just exercise and diet, there's a gazillion books, podcasts, YouTube channels, you name it, it's out there. 3-week intense goes way above and beyond that. That's just one of the simple layers. We work on this because 3-week intense is about instilling lifelong habits that you can carry with you the rest of your life. And if you're not cultivating this, you'll never make it with diet and exercise anyway, because you'll just continue on the yo-yo of I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, I'm not competent, I'm not worthy, I don't belong. All the chatter that goes on. All right. Tough topics with Tracy, but I thank the client who really just kind of prompted me to speak on this. It is my ministry to help others seek and live their potential. But do I believe you can walk this without the Lord in your life? I've walked this life without the Lord in my life, and I've walked this life with the Lord in my life. Now, been a believer all my life. I'm talking about walk. Completely different. A believer in the Lord, in a relationship with the Lord. Two very different landscapes. And I'll tell you what, I've been on both. And I choose the relationship, walking that relationship on the daily, not skipping a beat. It has changed me. It has grounded me. And I've been chosen. I've been chosen, and so have you. And I've been chosen to speak on this. This is my ministry. And I'm not going anywhere. So I'll see you right back here, and hopefully in 3-week intense. All right, get on it if you want to join late. Take care.